So you may have seen the recent articles on the latest ITV show called Piglets and how the Police Federation are really kicking off about it. So in this video, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts on this latest comedy from ITV called Piglets. So first of all, I mean, this has gone into the national press now. And the reason why it's gone into the national press is because Tiffany Lynch, the acting national chair of the Police Federation, has said that it's highly offensive. She is incredulous that it's passed through checks and balances. It's inflammatory. It's incredibly dangerous. I mean, it's highly offensive. I mean, really? Really? Seriously? You know, if you're in the police, you're going to get called names. And Piglet, it's at the lower end of the scale. I mean, seriously? Piglet? Oh, I've been called far worse. And does it mean anything at all? No. Does it affect me? No. Did it affect me back then? No. Should it affect you if you're a serving police officer? No. Look, once you've got a little bit of time under your belt, you start working out that you're going to get called a lot of names. Whether they mean it or not, doesn't really matter. No one cares. No one's interested. I'm not interested in what you think of me, especially when I'm doing something called putting you under arrest or stopping and searching you or arresting you for drink driving or whatever the thing is. You can call me all the names you want. I don't care. I'm doing my job. So I'm not doing it anymore, right? I'm not in the police anymore. But come on, Police Federation. You know, it's not even new. I mean, for those of you who are old enough to remember, you might remember a show called The Young Ones. If you've not watched it, go to YouTube and look up Young Ones and look up when Neil joined the police. Because there he is, banging on the door going, "Open up, it's the pigs." Now, I can't do a Neil very well, but that was it. And it was hilarious back in the 80s. I wasn't in the police then, but when I joined the police and watched it again, it was still hilarious. I'm laughing at it now. I mean, Neil from The Young Ones joined the police. It had a huge amount of comedy value. Listen, the police are going to get the finger of comedy pointed at them sometimes. And if you can't take it on the chin, then you just need to put your big boy, big girl pants on and just take the comedy. Instead of going out to the national press and making a big deal of it and whining about it and being all over Twitter about it. I mean, you need to get out more. I mean, Tiffany, I don't know you, but seriously, all of you, if this is what you're making a big deal of in the national press, you need to get out more. Why do I say that? Well, you know, on a serious note, there's bigger things for the Police Federation to be focusing on. They should be making a big noise, a bigger noise than this about paying conditions. They should be spending their time and energy not on this, but on welfare issues within the police service. And all of that leads to retention issues. You know, there's not a force I know of. I mean, I work with people who are going for promotion from right across the United Kingdom and actually abroad as well. And all of them tell me that they've got a retention problem. They can't keep hold of their officers. They're losing more officers in some forces than they're recruiting. And you just can't keep doing that. So they're not leaving because they're happy. Well, one or two of them might be, but my guess is that 99% of them are leaving because they're really unhappy with the police. They're really unhappy with their lot. Now, I know that's a job for sergeants and inspectors to do. You know, try and keep a happy ship. But the Federation should be leaning into this as well. Maybe they are. Maybe Tiffany or someone else will come back to me and put some comments below and say, "We're doing all of these things." Yeah, but you're not whining about like a comedy show on ITV called Piglets. You know, that's what you're doing, and you're not whining about the things that are important. The disparities in recruitment, the fact that if you're black, the chances of you getting into police are far less. I mean, not just by a few percentage points, but by tens of percentage points. Tens of percentage points. I mean, seriously. And you're whining about a comedy show called Piglets. Look, I may be being a bit over the top here, but I mean, let me know. You know, have I got this wrong? You know, should I be all like, ITV, how dare you call a comedy show Piglets? How dare you mock the police? The idea behind it, what ITV said is the government's stated policy of recruiting 20,000 new police officers in double quick time has not come at the cost of lowering standards, or has it? So the following 6 very different would-be cops and a handful of key staff whose thankless task is to knock him into some kind of shape. I'm laughing just even thinking about it. I can't wait to take a look at it. Okay, it may be a poor comedy show, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to watching it. And you know, the other thing you've done, Police Federation, is you've just given a load of advertorial. I mean, you've given the ITV, they're not sat there saying, oh no, the Police Federation are kicking off about it. What can we do to retract this? They're all sat around a big table saying, this is just awesome. I mean, whoever thought of John, you came up with the idea of Piglets. That was just brilliant. I mean, we've got the Police Federation all pissed off about this, and they're busy whining to the press, and it's all over Twitter. I mean, it's great advertising. It's superb advertising. It doesn't get better than this. And they could pay a fortune for this to go out on billboards everywhere. But this is better. This is much better, because you've got like the head of the police kicking off about it. It's just brilliant. They'll be sat around the table thinking, what else can we do to wind them up? What else can we do now to wind up the Police Federation? Because they seem really pissed off about this, and it's just great advertising. Did you not give that some thought, Police Federation, that that's what would happen? It's called advertorial, and they're not even paying for it. You know, they're not paying a penny for this advertorial. Oh no, really, seriously. And the thing is, they might be right. You know, it's not just 20,000 officers. 48,000 recruited in 3 years. And during that period, this is the period during COVID, they changed the assessment centre to an online one. It's still online now. But back then, there were more than several forces where you could join the police without speaking to a real person. I shit you not. You could join more than several police forces without talking to a real person. One of my clients who helped support them through the online assessment centre, made sure they pass it first time, they came back to me and said, I'm in, I can't believe it, you know, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. The one thing I couldn't get my head around is that the hardest question I was asked by a real person, and it's the only real person that asked me a question apart from medical, was at my uniform fitting, and he asked me what my inside leg measurement was. I didn't know. It's a tough question. Apart from that, I've not spoken to any real people. I did all of this online. So, you know, I'm looking forward to this, because they might have a point. They might have a point. If you recruit 48,000 police officers over 3 years, and let's say 20,000 of those didn't have any kind of face-to-face communication, no one spoke to them, not even over Zoom, no one spoke to them except for uniform fitting and medical. Don't be surprised if a lot of them just don't fit, just don't hit the mark. I mean, it's no surprise that forces have got a big retention problem, because they probably recruited a lot of people during COVID, during that time when they were so desperate to get the funding that they were just like, yeah, let's just open the doors. They could have interviewed them. A lot of forces did. A lot of forces kept interviewing people. They just used something called Zoom and Teams. It's not hard. And actually, a lot of forces are still doing that because they find there's a lot of merit in it, because they're not having to shuffle people around the county or whatever, or invite people to somewhere that's expensive, they've got to rent to do all the interviews in. You can just do it over Zoom and Teams, dead easy. So a lot of forces are still doing that now. The world has changed. But if anyone tries to persuade me that the standards were kept high by not speaking to them at all, I mean, you know, my conservative estimate is that there's probably around 20,000 people who joined the police during that time who did not speak to anyone. The first time they spoke to a real human was on day one. And if anyone's going to try and tell me that standards were kept high, no. Actually, I'm not going to name them. I'm not going to name and shame them. I'm not even going to refer to them by their sex. But there's one chief constable I know, they started the interview again. And then when that started to become a block to people actually getting through the door, and it became a block to them getting their funding from the government and hitting their targets for the 20,000 uplift. When that became a block, they deliberately moved the interview. They didn't just move it, they took it out. They removed it completely. And the response from that chief constable was, we took a risk-based approach. Like, we knew there's risk, but will deal with it once they're in. I mean, really, seriously, Piglets is not what the Police Federation should have been focusing on. What they should have been focusing on is a lowering of standards. And I don't care what any force says. If you don't speak to people before they join, not even to ask them a question like, why do you want to be a police officer? Do not be surprised when the standards go down. Do not be surprised when people leave. A lot of people leave because it's like, it's not for me, this. No one told me how to work a night shift. Do not be surprised, on a serious note, do not be surprised if we've got another Cousins or Carrick within those ranks, because no one has asked them any questions. No one has asked about their values. They got into the police by passing a formulaic tick box process that I could coach back then I used to say I could coach my 13-year-old daughter to pass it. She's older now. She could still pass it. And she'd make a terrible police officer. On her own admission, she just wouldn't be able to cut it. But I could coach her to pass it. So yeah, serious note. I mean, let me know in the comments below what you think. And Federation, come on, get a life. Get out a bit more. Get a life and get out a bit more. All right, I'm going to end on that. Catch you in the next one, folks. Bye-bye for now.